How's everybody doing? And welcome to SSN, or as we affectionately refer to this channel around here as the Sergeant Saunders Network. I'm back after a long hiatus. Steve Dallas here. I will be your host as we venture forward with the Sergeant Saunders Hour. Now, without further ado, hop in, buckle up, and let's get ready to roll.
How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good night. We got something different tonight. We're going to go with some Star Trek stuff. I told you, old channel I had, Old Man News, was all about news and politics. I got tired of talking about that stuff. So I want to talk about some fun stuff. So we covered the trial. I have a lot of videos coming up on the Depp trial that'll be up there breaking down things if you want to go back and look at it. Obviously, Tuesday, they're going to hopefully deliberate and finish it up. I think it's going to be wrapped up pretty quick Tuesday or Wednesday. But in the meantime, I'm throwing up some videos and some other things that interest me. And like I said, try to get away from the old kind of stuff that we did. And, recently I've been watching the new Star Trek, and pretty interesting. And I'm going to throw up my video. I'm going to get it going. So just give me 1 second to load the video.
Space. The final.
We're going to jump in there, and when I started watching Strange New Worlds, now there's 3, iconic Spocks, and
Commander, I have that transmission as requested.
On screen, please.
Stand by.
Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock.
So we had 3 Mr. Spocks. We got Zachery Quinto. He played in the new movies. We got Leonard Nimoy, of course, the original series as well as movies.
Yeah, I feel a huge amount of pressure to live up to Nimoy's portrayal and to fans' expectations of the role.
And that's Ethan Peck. He's the new Mr. Spock. So we're going to go over some few things about Spock, and then.
And whose idea was it to have pointed ears?
Well, that started with Gene Roddenberry, who's the creator of the series, the executive producer. He saw the character with pointed ears and various other physical things which we experimented with. And I should say that just before we started shooting the show, we had experimented with 4 or 5 different types of ears. And we were not happy with any of them. And I got a little nervous about it. I thought this is going to be awful funny if these ears don't look right. And I went to Gene and I asked him to give up the idea of the pointed ears. And he said, no, he wouldn't. We're going to keep working on this and we'll get it right eventually. And he said, I promise you that if you do the show with the ears, at the end of 13 episodes, if you're not happy, I'll write you a script where you get an ear job.
What are they made of?
They're made of foam rubber.
Surprised, and everybody else is surprised. Spock, the network didn't even want Spock on the show. The network said,
interesting.
We are very dependent on the numbers in the Bible Belt, and they will not accept in their homes a character who looks devilish with these pointed ears. So get rid of the pointed ears or get rid of the character. This was the network attitude. I was in jeopardy. My character was in jeopardy. And after the show had been on the air a few weeks, and they started getting so much mail for Spock, then the dictum came down from NBC. Oh, give us more of that guy. They love that guy. Going on. It was a chemistry suddenly. But at the same time, that chemistry was working. We found a way, and particularly with DeForest Kelly in the mix.
So special, the chemistry.
It was a wonderful chemistry.
We'll talk about that.
I described it as kind of, he was Hamlet, and I was to be, and Kelly was or not to be. So it was to be or not to be, and he said, that's the question.
That's a pretty good analogy. So the 3 Spocks, which one do you like better? Obviously, nobody can replace the original. Leonard Nimoy created the character.
Hello. Check. Check and meet my young friend.
Of your instructors. Your final record is flawless. With one exception, I see that you have applied to Starfleet as well.
It was logical to cultivate multiple options.
Logical, but unnecessary. You are hereby accepted to the Vulcan Science Academy. It is truly remarkable, Spock, that you have achieved so much, despite your disadvantage. All rise!
If you would clarify, Minister. To what disadvantage are you referring?
Your human mother.
Lost Leonard Nimoy very recently, and I know that you two not only worked together, him as the older Spock, he was the younger Spock, but you formed personally a really strong bond with Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah, we were very, very close, and losing him was really difficult, obviously, but, you know, I feel so grateful that I knew him and that he was such an instrumental figure in my life, and he lived a beautiful life and a full life, and so there really, in the end, I think, was much more celebration of what he accomplished and how many lives he touched in the world. And you know, we'll certainly miss him, but yeah, he's an amazing man.
So Zachery wanted the series. If you read this, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but just to show you that he either wanted to do another movie or a series. When asked about it,
would you like to put on the Vulcan ears a fourth time?
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about it all the time as the crew of the Enterprise. You know, we're all incredibly close friends in real life, and I think all of us would welcome the opportunity to go back and keep telling those stories. Seems like a bit of a saturated market at this point, so I'm not sure what the plans are for the feature, you know, film version of the franchise, but we're all here. They want to beam us up.
And then if you check out his page, it actually shows that there's an untitled sequel coming out. So part 4 is going to be done. And then Ethan Peck, I think if Leonard Nimoy was still alive, he would have became friends with him, because it looks like when Zachery Quinto reached out to him, they became friends. They developed a friendship. And I think that Ethan would have definitely reached out and asked for his blessings and even asked for his advice, probably, because I think with the new series, they're going more towards what Spock was. Live long and prosper, right? Most famous term, right? Let's see where that came from.
Live long and prosper. It was the first time we were seeing other Vulcans, other people of my race. So I was hoping to find some touches that could develop the story of the Vulcan sociology, history, whatever, ritual. So I said to the director, I think we should have some special greeting that Vulcans do, because he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, humans, we have these rituals, things that we do. We shake hands, we nod to each other, we bow to each other, we salute each other. What do Vulcans do? So I suggested this.
It's interesting he drew that from his Jewish heritage. So it's interesting what actors can pull and how he developed the character.
I devised the Spock pinch, you see. I said, why don't I just apply pressure to a certain area of his neck and shoulder here and pinch a little bit, and he goes unconscious, you see. Well, the director bought it, and that's the way we did it. Producers saw it in the rushes, the dailies, the next day, and said, that's a great idea, let's keep using that.
The mind meld. So it's interesting how the character developed. We're going to talk more in detail in a second once we get through these videos. It's almost done. It's a short little synopsis. So there's the mind meld. How he puts his hands.
Cartwright. From Starfleet?
Who else?
Remember, Gene Roddenberry came up with this idea that Vulcans can tap into a person's mind and mate with that mind, meld, literally mate with that mind, and extract information.
Forgive me. It is not here. I had assumed he mind melded with you. It is the Vulcan way, when the body's end is near.
As he originally wrote it, it was a dangerous procedure because his mind is troubled. And if I mate with that mind, my mind could be infected by those problems and I could become damaged.
Bones, what the hell are you doing? Have you lost your mind? Help me, Jim. Take me home.
So it was a dangerous thing for me to do as Spock, but that's the way it was first introduced.
Freeze. Repeat. And augment.
McCoy. One alive, one not. Yet both in pain.
The mind meld is not a shortcut for dealing with mental trauma. My mind to your mind.
This is Ethan Peck.
My thoughts to your thoughts. My mind to your
There's no video. They kept it true to the old show. So Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green is the abductor.
Can we have a better version of this conversation?
Is there a valuable question in your arsenal?
Yes. Do you actually think the beard is working?
Ambassador Sarek, it's good to see you again.
Thank you for receiving us, Captain.
This is who Michael
The
Burnham
pleasure
is.
is ours.
As discussed, this is
And then Ethan Peck is actually acting royalty. His grandfather was Gregory Peck, which is pretty interesting.
About the comparisons to your grandpa?
I mean, I'm really honored. I think when I was a little bit younger, it was like, it felt a little more burdensome. And now I just feel like how lucky, like to be born into this body, in this city, in this life. You know what I mean? Like the circumstances could be very different.
So Ethan Peck Spock, I think we're going to talk about why I think they didn't choose Quinto in a second.
And of course, once I discovered which character it was, I began to do my due diligence and research Leonard Nimoy's portrayal of the character. I think that Strange New Worlds presents an opportunity for all of us involved to sort of see more deeply into these characters' lives, Spock included.
And then coming up, we're going to have Captain Christopher Pike. You had Jeffrey Hunter as well as Anson Mount. And then also they announced that Paul Wesley is going to play Captain James T. Kirk, and William Shatner gave his blessing to him.
Since my customary farewell would appear oddly self-serving, I shall simply say, good luck.
We're going to close with this, and we're just going to discuss a few things. It's going to be a shorter video.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
So again, this is going to be video episode 3007. It'll be up there. And if we just jump into here, we're going to go over this again. So there's the three guys. I think, when Zachery Quinto started making the new reboot of the movies, he reached out to Leonard Nimoy and they became friends. And he actually guided him. And I think he told him to kind of go in your own direction. And they kind of did that because they made it like a parallel universe where they actually wound up being in the universe together. Spock got stuck over on the younger Spock side. And I think what happened was, I like the adaptation. The first movie I think was terrible, but the first, original Star Trek series movie was terrible too. And I think the second and the third got better, and now we'll see what happens with the fourth. But the first one, it took a while to get used to him. I think more so they had the commercials and that you saw that he was friends with Leonard Nimoy. So I think because Leonard Nimoy kind of accepted him and took him in, I think the fans kind of took him in, and I think he did a great job with the role. So then I think when the series came about, when basically the first appearance of Spock on Discovery was the second season, and what happens there, I think we saw the video where obviously Zachery knew that they were casting it, and I think he's a movie star and he's worth a lot of money. Obviously Ethan is a younger man. I looked at like their net worths, and like Zachary's like 20 million, and Ethan's like $1 million. So I think finances did play a role. I think, and also I think they probably knew that there might be some more movies, so they'd have to compete with that. So I think that's why he probably wasn't hired. And then I think they wanted to keep it true because it is a backstory of Pike, but I think they wanted to show the backstory of all the characters. So I think they were trying to keep it true to the original. And what you find is the difference between Zachery and Leonard, I think, is the voice. Like Leonard Nimoy has that raspy, deep voice, and then when you listen to Ethan, the voice isn't the same. But it's like that's the first thing you take note of is his voice when he speaks, during the show. And so I think that that's one of the reasons why, they chose him. And obviously, we're never going to forget Leonard Nimoy. He put so much into it, as we just saw in the videos. He came up with some of the ideas. I mean, it was his first real job where he was hired more than 2 weeks. So I think, there was a lot of creativity going in there. And then, like he said during the video, the chemistry. I think that was really important, the chemistry, because like when I watched the show, that the trio there. I mean, it was all of them, but mostly the trio, the camaraderie, And I think a lot of the Star Treks after that tried to tap into that, and I think they failed. Like I never got into the Next Generation. I watched a few here or there. I know the characters. I just didn't like Picard. I didn't like the number one, and now they're the newer series, Strange New World. They're calling it number one. They should have just kept the old series. And then so like I like the Enterprise was good, and then the one with Janeway, I kind of watched a little bit. I didn't really get into it. I watched a few here or there, and then like Deep Space Nine, that was okay, but I think the chemistry is the aspect, and I think on the Next Generation they tried to get it, and some people that really watched it, family members have told me they got into it and liked it, but I think there's to me they just never were able to capture that. And so far, the first 4 episodes of Strange New Worlds, I'm kind of into it. I think they're tapping into it. I think it's Spock. I like Ethan. I think he's doing a great job, and I think he's giving 110%. It feels a little strange with Spock. I like him, but I think you just got to see him, maybe for another season, and then maybe I'll just accept him, because I think long term, I think the plan is they're going to make a spinoff of Captain Kirk, and we're going to get into that with some of the other videos we're coming up with. And obviously, the Vulcan nerve pinch. It was actually interesting that he was against like violence, and he came up with that. That's pretty cool. And then the live long and prosper. He was Jewish heritage, and he basically took that from his Jewish culture, which was pretty cool. And you think about how he did it, and the mind meld thing was cool. How Roddenberry came up with it. So there's the 3 Spocks. Obviously, I don't think either one of them is ever going to replace Leonard, but I think the other two, different comparisons. I think Zachery does great in the movies. If he had gotten the show, I would have been into that, But obviously, they went in a different direction. And I think with time, I think he'll grow into the role. He comes from a good background, so I think he'll settle in. Now, Discovery, I never really got into it. I know Sonequa was great on like The Walking Dead. I liked her. I tried to watch it. I just couldn't get into it. And and then when they introduced Ethan the first time, I didn't like the show anymore. So it had nothing to do with him. So I kind of I didn't even realize that he was on there until the new one when they announced it. I went back and I watched it. And I kind of like I said, the direction they're going in. So next upcoming videos. Oh, look at that. I thought I made a typo, but I actually went on the second line. I'm sorry about that. I messed up a slide. I should say Captain Christopher on one line and then Pike. So we have Jeffrey Hunter and Anson Mount. And we're going to go into that in another video. And then, of course, we have Captain Kirk is coming up. Obviously, we'll get into a little bit of this in an upcoming video. It's probably going to be really short. Probably just maybe comparing Kirk to some of the other captains, because we really don't have anything to compare it to, with Wesley yet, because he hasn't really done anything yet. He's not supposed to start until season 2. I looked at some of the excerpts they have up there about like what's coming up, and I don't know if they're just going to use them to fill in backstory, or if they're actually and continue with Pike, or if they're going to branch off and maybe go. I hope they branch off and go into like a new Kirk. That would be cool. And like I said, William signed off on it. He told him, take the role and make it yours, which is kind of pretty cool. And Wesley, he was in the Vampire Diaries, so he was actually pretty good in that. I got kids, so I know what it is. I did watch it a few times. So I thought he was good in that. And, he makes it he looks pretty good in the picture. So we got some if you're a Star Trek fan, there's some good things coming up. I've been checking out the show. Check it out. It's on every Thursday. This last episode was really cool. It was about the Gorn. You don't get to see them yet, but, it was actually pretty cool the way they did it. So Ethan Peck, I'm going to give him a thumbs up. And, he's plugging away. So, if you like the material and the video, please give it a like. And, if you want to see upcoming stuff, we're going to cover a wide range of topics from fantasy stuff to movie stuff to politics to baseball. We're going to get into baseball. I got some things coming up to even the trial and some future trials coming up. But if you like this stuff, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon. Have a good night.